So welcome to our second information session for Oxfam Trailwalker 2022. My name is Lizzie. I'm the fundraising events manager here at Oxfam Aotearoa, and I'll be taking you through the evening tonight. This information session is all about fundraising. We're going to talk a lot about fundraising ideas, resources, and tips that we have available to you. I hope you all get a lot out of the information session this evening. Firstly, a bit of housekeeping. I do have to note briefly that this session is going to be recorded and will be posted on Facebook and our website later for those who couldn't make it tonight. As we progress through the session, you may need or want to focus your attention to the speaker. To do this, head to the top right of the screen and turn speaker view on. Questions and answers will be at the end, so please stay muted until we reach that section. In the meantime, feel free to pop your questions into the chat box and we'll answer them throughout the session or get to them at the end. So let me introduce you to our guest speakers for the evening and give you a quick overview of what we're going to dive into. Firstly, you'll hear a short presentation from me, and then I'll hand over to our few past participants, Jess, Lewis, and Chris. They're going to talk a little bit about their fundraising for Oxfam Trailwalker. They'll provide a couple of ideas and tips too, so keep those notepads handy. After that, I'll introduce you to David, our media specialist at Oxfam, who will talk to you about the media kit that we've produced to help you pitch your fundraising story and how media can help you in your fundraising. And then I'll pass over to Rachel Lemazurier, our executive director here at Oxfam Aotearoa, who will talk to us on how your fundraising is making a positive impact to people who need it the most. All questions will be at the end. So now let's get straight into it. What will I cover tonight? Well, we're going to dive into getting started and everything you need to know to start off on the right foot. We're then going to go into resources to use and where to find them on our website, ways to fundraise and how to apply them, fundraising credits, how they can help you chip away at your fundraising target and where to find them on our website, those fundraising rewards to keep you motivated. We hope to spark a few ideas with our fundraising brainstorm, and then we'll finish with 5 top tips to finish up on. So make sure you have your notepads ready for those. All right, getting started. So how do we get to our fundraising milestone of $2,000 as a team? Well, the number one is to start planning and set goals. What do you expect to get out of the process? And how do you plan to get there? Have a planning session with your teammates and decide how you're going to tackle the fundraising aspect. As a team, for example, doing some fundraising events as a 4 leading up to Oxfam Trailwalker, or as individuals, and you each get to $500 before March 2022. Whatever your approach is, write it down and start planning. Spread the word. The best way to fundraise and reach your milestones fast is to let the people around you know that you're taking on this huge challenge and that you need to fundraise a certain amount. Whether that's $2,000 minimum mark as a team or $500 per person, or your own milestone, people want to be involved with your process, especially your loved ones. We also have resources available for you to reach an even bigger audience. For example, a media release to help get the word out in your community, as well as social media pre-made images for you to throw up on your social to keep your supporters up to date. Start actioning your plans. What was the outcome of your planning sessions? Maybe it was to hold a team pub quiz in January. This is the time to book a venue, catering, and work out what other fundraising activities you may want to run at the same time. Maybe a raffle. How about a team sausage sizzle? Contact your local Bunnings or Mitre 10 centre. And fun fact, last year a team made over $700 from a sausage sizzle in front of Bunnings, and you can do that too. Fundraising doesn't need to be hard, and you certainly don't need to go all out with big fundraising events. Doing small things like popping an email banner into your email signatures with donation information can go a long way. And lastly, if you haven't already, you'll be receiving a check-in call from your Trailwalker coach to help with your fundraising and training. This is something really unique to Oxfam Trailwalker too, so really make the most of these calls. There is never a silly question. We have a great range, over 20 in fact, of digital resources online to help you fundraise, such as email templates, banners, posters, letters, info, and more. These resources will help you reach your goals and aid your fundraising process, whether as a team or as an individual. They're also free, so make the most of them. Head to oxfamtrailwalker.org.nz/fundraising resources to browse the library of useful stuff. A few popular ones are our Authority to Fundraise letter. This one is so you can fundraise in public spots, or something you can take to local businesses to ask for sponsorship or donated items for a raffle. Email us to get your personalised team letter. We've also put together a pub quiz. Creating a pub quiz can be rather hard and daunting, especially if you don't have the time to create one. Well, we've already made one for you. Download the PDF we have on our website and keep your teams busy for hours. Ask for entry fees from teams, and these can be donated directly to your team page, and then have fun together. If we are in lockdown, or you have friends and family spread across the country or the globe, why not host your pub quiz online? An X marks the spot for a treasure map. This is a fun way to raise $200. Download the PDF online and get people to choose a number between 1 and 100. For each number they pick, it's worth a $2 donation. So that's $200 in one evening. Once all the squares are sold, pick a random number and that lucky winner could receive a prize from your team. The choice is yours. Following on from those resources, we thought to highlight our favorite one, and likely the one that will boost your fundraising. It's the $500 in 5 days. $500 may seem like a lot to raise, but it's doable, and we've put together a guide to help you make it within a week. Sounds too good to be true? I promise it's not. Find it in our resources page, and don't forget to share your journey and success to your social networks while tagging us at Oxfam Trailwalker NZ using the hashtags #OTW2022. And an important part of fundraising is using multiple avenues and perspectives. If something isn't working, then try another way. There's rarely a wrong way to fundraise. Sponsor yourself. A great jumping off point is to give yourself a bit of a jump start. By doing a self-sponsorship, on average, people do around $40 donating to their own page. You can set the sponsorship standard, and people will tend to donate around the same that you do. If you donate, it also shows your commitment, and your friends and whānau will really rally together to help you out. Another great starting point, if you haven't already, is change your profile picture on your fundraising page. It's a weird statistic we found, but people are way more likely to donate to your page if the photo isn't just the Oxfam Trailwalker logo. These are two simple things you can do right now. So as a team, agree on how to fundraise and book dates. It's important to agree as a team what the most suitable fundraising activities are. For some, it's doing one or two bigger events, like a movie fundraiser or a quiz night. For others, smaller activities such as bake sales, mufti days, and sausage sizzles best suit their lifestyles. Once you've agreed on the approach, set the date. Why not make use of the fundraising deals that we have available online? Encourage your friends and family to shop directly with our sponsors and event partners to receive fundraising credits directly to your team page. Even small bits of money that you make from these are really helpful and can mean the difference between reaching your milestones or not. Share on social. People underestimate this strategy and often feel strange asking their friends and family for money. We get it. It does feel weird to ask your friends and family for money, but it's perfectly normal. By sharing stories, some happy, some sad, give them a mix of both, we bring people into your journey and it makes them feel part of the process. If you can overcome doing the uncomfortable thing of asking your loved ones for donations, then you'll be perfectly ready to take on the challenge of Oxfam Trailwalker. Seek matched donations from your workplace. Many Oxfam Trailwalkers find workplaces get on board too, by way of matching dollar for dollar donations that you raise. Let them know you can post their logo on your team page. Everyone likes acknowledgement, so why not ask yours? And lastly, if you haven't already, head to our fundraising resources page and download the media kit. Picture this, you're in an elevator and a friend asks what you're raising money for. You have 30 seconds to explain. What do you say? It's great to have an answer ready for anyone who's interested. So the media kit has a quick blurb you can adapt to suit you. You could go even bigger with local media. If you're feeling more ambitious, media in your local area can be a great boost for your fundraising efforts. They can help you reach a bigger audience outside of your circle. Local media outlets, such as community newspapers and radio stations, love to profile local people who are doing inspiring things. An Oxfam Trailwalker definitely fits the bill. If you're part of a team sponsored by a local business, it's a great way to get some publicity for them and have their name associated with a fantastic cause. Another really cool way to get your team involved with the event while fundraising and training, and we did mention this briefly a few slides ago, is making the most of our sponsors' fundraising deals. Thanks to our event partners, we've made it easy for you to step up your fundraising game and earn some bonus team fundraising credits. Every little bit adds up. Our current team credits are all specific to the sponsor and have different values and terms, so make sure you read about them first. Check out the special offers available to you and your team on our website at oxfamtrailwalker.org.nz/fundraising deals. Now, to the rewards. Yep, that's right. When you reach certain fundraising milestones, you'll be eligible for team and individual rewards. Each individual that has raised $750 on their fundraising page will receive an Oxfam Trailwalker trophy, Forever Cup. As one of New Zealand's most sustainable alternatives to single-use takeaway cups, it's a trophy for achieving great things. For those that are new to Oxfam Trailwalker and taking it on for the first time, it's good to know that we're a disposable cup-free event. This means that everyone, including your support crew, need to bring their own reusable cups to the event for every checkpoint. You'll get some great kudos if you're flashing the Oxfam Trailwalker Forever Cup. For teams that raise $2,000, and you all should, your team will receive an exclusive Oxfam Trailwalker buff. The design has been voted for by you, so head to our Facebook page on October 13th for when we announce the winning design. For teams that raise $3,000, we're giving you a special opportunity for a support crew member to walk a leg of the trail with you for that extra moral support. We'll be getting in touch with you to confirm the lucky support crew member. For their safety, we can only offer this up to the 6th of March to ensure that our tracking systems have the correct information and that your support crew walker gets their very own event bib. And finally, for teams that raise $5,000 or more, your team will be entered into a draw to win a trip to Vanuatu, courtesy of our event partners, Air Vanuatu and Warwick Hotels. Of course, COVID-19 may potentially throw us a curveball, but it's a prize worth waiting for when travel is back on the cards. All right, lastly, before we go into our 5 top tips, I want to run over a quick brainstorm with everyone. These ideas on the screen now are based from past teams fundraising and are all viable ways to fundraise depending on who is around you and what you have accessible to you. Let's quickly run through 3 very popular ones. What are they? Well, I talked a bit about this one earlier, the pub quiz. It's an oldie, but a goodie. What about auctions? Do you have anything lying around your house that you don't use anymore? Any old clothes you don't wear that someone else might like? Have a garage sale and clear out what you don't need. All proceeds go to your fundraising page. And bake sales, you can't go wrong with bringing in some baking to the workplace. Through the day, you can make between $100 and $400 depending on what you make and how many people buy some goodies from you. A great way to get other colleagues involved as well. Basically, this list is never ending, so get creative with it. What are your skills? One year, for example, we had a team who were all nurses, offer CPR lessons in the middle of Queen Street in Auckland for a small donation. They used their skills to spread their knowledge and managed to get some donations out of it. Don't be afraid to get creative with it. And finally, our top 5 tips to remember. Number 1, fundraising $2,000 may seem like a daunting team goal. Break it up evenly between the 4 of you so each of you raises $500. This is really important, especially if your team are from all over New Zealand. Sometimes it isn't viable for a whole team to meet constantly, and that's okay. Make it work for you and your team. Ask your support crew to donate or share your team's fundraising page with their networks. Who are your closest supporters? Well, physically, your support crew. If you ask nicely, I'm sure they donate a little or even share the team's fundraising pages with their own networks. After all, they're as much of a part of the team just as much as you. Number 3, make use of the online resources. These are free and really useful for any event or virtual idea that you're planning. Take a look at them on our website. Number 4 is thank people. Be sure to say a huge thank you to your generous friends. Tag them in social media posts or flick them an email. Videos also work extremely well and have that extra impact if you're able to do a video shout out. Or alternatively, you can thank your donors directly from your fundraising profile online. And 5, lastly, have fun. It's a huge task you're undertaking, so make the most of spending the time with your teammates. Enjoy the process and remember to smile and have fun. And that's it from me. For anyone who's joined us since starting the session, I want to introduce you to our past participants, Jess, Lewis, and Chris. They're going to run through their experience fundraising and provide a couple of tips, so make sure those notepads are kept handy. Then you'll meet David, our media lead at Oxfam, who will talk to you about the media kit and how media can help you in your fundraising. So I invite Jess to talk firstly a bit about how her team fundraised through a Bunnings sausage sizzle. I'll just end my slideshow and then Jess, take it away.
Thanks, Lizzie. Kia ora, everyone. Nice to see all your faces. I'm the ops manager at Oxfam, and I entered a team into the 2020 Trailwalker. So did all of my training and my fundraising, and then unfortunately COVID cancelled that event, so I wasn't able to complete it, which is a real shame. But we did do a little bit of fundraising. I think the first thing to say is $2,000 sounds like a lot of money, but when you break it up between 4 people, 500 each is actually quite achievable. And I just wanted to echo what Lizzie said, her tip about self-sponsoring at the beginning and then sharing all over your social networks. I think if you can get your mum or your best friend or your partner or something to put on those first couple of donations, it sort of sets the bar for everyone else, and then all your friends on your social networks tend to follow suit. So that was a really good head start for our team. But we did do a team sausage sizzle at Bunnings as well in addition to that, and that bumped us over our $2,000 target quite easily. So I think the sizzle we raised about $500, maybe a little bit more, and we did ours at the Grey Lynn Bunnings, which was a good location, but apparently not as good as the Mount Roskill one. They set up the tent kind of out on the footpath, which is on the opposite side of the car park. So foot traffic is not as good as it could be. Apparently the Mount Roskill one is like right in the car park, so you get lots of people walking past. We also jumped in on a very last minute booking. So another team or community group had pulled out, which meant that Bunnings donated all of the sausages and the onions and stuff like that, which took some of the cost out for us. So I think if we had to buy that stuff ourselves, we would have made a little bit less. So if you don't mind doing a last minute booking, I would definitely recommend that. You can book them through the community managers. I think every branch has a contact, or maybe they have one that do a few different locations, but definitely just touch base with them because they can let you know when there's any last minute bookings that come up. But you can book them in advance as well if that's your preference. We had to provide all our own drinks, I think maybe the condiments, napkins, that kind of thing, but all the the barbecue and the tables and the tent and all of that is set up already. Bunnings do all that for you. So it's probably like a 6-hour day, I would say, from setting up, cooking, and then packing up at the end. Some other tips I would say, in this day and age, not a lot of people have cash. Some people do bring coins because the whole point of going to Bunnings is for the sausages for some people. However, if you can arrange some kind of FPOS machine, or I think you can get those FPOS apps and things now, I would recommend that as well, because we did have to turn a few people away that didn't have cash. Any other tips? I think that's everything. It's a pretty easy way to make $500 in a day, I'd say. It's quite hot work, but between 4 of you, very achievable, I would say. It was a couple of years ago now, so my memory's failing me a little bit. but I think I've covered off everything. Thanks, Lizzie.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. And you did rope in a couple of your work colleagues to volunteer. We call it voluntold at Oxfam. So I remember donning that high-vis vest and adding the condiments to sausages that day. So yeah, get your team and your workplace around you when you do the sausages too. So thanks, Jess. And now I'll pass over to Taina and Lewis to talk about their fundraising tips and ideas. Taina and Lewis, do you want to take it away?
Okay. Good everyone. Good evening. Thanks for the time today. It's I think Lizzie and Jess really covered like major points about fundraising. There's a lot of elements and considerations that need to take place. I think some of the things that I like to think of, it's the balance between your effort and your rewards. So really think about the initiatives you're going to put in place and how much can they bring back to you. I saw once when Lizzie was talking about asking your inner circle. I saw once a stats that around 80% of your donations are going to come from people in your network. So really work on that, from colleagues to workmates and people around you, your family. Those are the probably most likely people that are gonna support your efforts.
Yeah, and one of the ideas that we had was actually preparing tie-dye t-shirts for anyone that donated over a certain amount. We established like $50 at the time, but you can use 75 or 100. It's up to you. And we did this during summer, and we noticed that a lot of people actually got the t-shirts for partners, for kids. It was really cheap for us to do it. And I would say that you can even say, bring me your t-shirt and I'm going to recycle for you and I'm going to create something new out of it. So it's sustainable. And I feel like that was a really cool idea we implemented at the end. We sold like, I don't know, almost like 10 t-shirts in 2 weeks. So it was really cool to see the involvement of the friends and family around that.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking of is that sometimes we get blocked about like just simply asking. So just ask people around. If you make like a post or a group post or something like that, that's a great way to have reach. But sometimes people don't feel as inclined to donate unless you actually follow up with them individually. So if you made a post, someone liked, maybe follow up with a person in a private message, say, hey, I saw you liked the post, thank you very much, I would really appreciate your support. And if they cannot donate at that stage, maybe ask when they could. And if they cannot donate at all, maybe ask if they can support in promoting that wider within their own network. So just quick, easy ways to increment your reach. The other thing I would say to consider is the calendar year. So we are getting close to Christmas time. People are more generous around the Christmas time. So it's better to ask before that or around that time than maybe after New Year's when people already gone on holidays and those kind of things. So certainly take this into consideration. I think another initiative that we did that worked really well was the clothes swap. So we did this in our workplace. We engaged with some colleagues beforehand, and the idea behind it is that essentially you bring a few pieces of clothes that you don't use anymore, but they're still in good condition, and then you pay a certain amount per number of clothes that you bring in. So one piece was like $10, 2 pieces was $20, and 3 pieces was 25. And then you get 1, 2, or 3 credits to swap for whatever other clothes that you have around there. And a good way.
You can build your own op shop, literally.
Yeah.
In the workplace or in your neighborhood. It's so funny. People get really excited about. We raised like $700 with one clothes swap, and that was really fun as well.
Yep.
You could see people using the t-shirts that used to be yours. You recognize.
Yeah. And around receiving donations in cash or those other things, we open our group page whenever we're doing that. So I most people certainly don't have cash with them. So if that's the case, just you have your donation, your page open in the laptop or something like that, and they can make the donation right there. So it's easy to do with a credit card or debit card. So yeah, that's a good way to overcome it.
Yeah, if you have a laptop or any device where you can just pop it up on the screen, the website page of your group, you can just ask people to donate straight away in front of you. And it's a great, easy way of getting donations through credit cards.
And finally, I would certainly incentivize like events with your friends, like movie nights and a barbecue or something. I've once participated in a movie night where people would provide free popcorn and they would sell like beverage around. So yeah, it's a good way to get together, kind of low cost to implement and have a good return as well. And
a really good time.
Yeah, exactly. And you also, share movie and stuff like that. So it's certainly worth it. But ultimately, it's about you translating the passion and why you're doing this, why you're doing Trailwalker. And I think that's what resonates more with people. What are the reasons why you're committed to this? And certainly very worthy reasons. And I'm sure that the people on the other end will feel that passion as well. So yeah.
That's it for us. Thank you, Lizzie.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And I really hope all those people that bought those tie-dye t-shirts, wearing them are your support crew as you cross the finish line. That's a great way of being able to identify your support crew at the finish line too. So fantastic idea. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for sharing. And do we have Chris in the house? I know he was joining us from a car, so depends on his connection opportunities here. Just wait in case he unmutes if he appears. All right. Well, if he does able to join us from his travels, we'll jump over to him. But in the meantime, I'd like to introduce you to David, our media lead at Oxfam Trailwalker, to give us a little bit more information about the media kit that the Oxfam Trailwalker team have put together, and how you can use media to kind of leverage your fundraising and your story. So, David, over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen actually, just so that you can get a better idea about what I'm talking about. Everyone can see that. Yeah, I wanted to talk about how the media can help you fundraise. And you might be thinking, what does the media have to do with me fundraising anything? But my job at Oxfam is to tell Oxfam's story to the media, and then hopefully they talk about it. So if you've seen a news article or seen us on a breakfast news show recently, that's my job, to try and get us up on those outlets. So I thought I'd show you here, one of the resources that you can choose from is the media kit. It's just down here, the Oxfam media kit. And it kind of just gives you an overview of how you can use the media for fundraising. As Lizzie mentioned before, there's a little section in there about the elevator pitch. And before you sort of start, it would be good to write down some reasons that you're fundraising for Oxfam, why you're motivated to do the walk, and maybe do a little bit of research about who we are as Oxfam, and I'm sure you'll hear about that in a little bit, and the work that we do, so that when you're talking to people, they can understand what your motivation is, that personal level, and engaging with why you're doing what you're doing. In the same way, the media could be interested in your story. So what I've done is that I've sort of laid out a little bit on how you could pitch your story to the media, and especially local media. So that could be a little newspaper in your community, or it could be a church newsletter, it could be the New Zealand Herald. And this is sort of your top tips to sort of work out how to tell your story and how to pitch that to media. So I'll just give you a couple of examples actually, just so that it's easier. I've just randomly selected a few here. There's obviously Stuff have done an article in March about crunch time for Oxfam Trailwalker. So this is a typical story that you might get around Oxfam Trailwalker before the event launches. And then you've got one here that's fish and chip fundraiser. This has nothing to do with Oxfam Trailwalker, but I just thought it was an interesting angle. So if you start to think a little bit creatively about why you're doing what you're doing, Fish and Chip fundraiser aims to raise 10K for Taranaki School's special needs unit. So have you got a special reason that you're doing the walk? Have a think about that. I've got one here about a greyhound called George and a woman who will run more than 120 kilometres, starting with in another event that we won't name, to help retired greyhound homes. So this is another sort of angle, and if you can kind of get the idea about unique and interesting ways that you might be able to tell your story. And then the last example here I've got is about runners and walkers set to take over Hamilton Airport runway. And I just want to highlight here the great photo of these 4 people standing on a runway in Hamilton. I'm not saying go and run on a runway, but imagery is a really great way to get media's attention. And if you have some great images that you can snap with your team and have those ready to go, media will likely want to pick that up. So that's over to you. That's sort of your little task to do if you're interested in doing that and getting a little bit more exposure. What it can do is open up your networks wider than what you've got in your community and wider than your social media network, and expose yourself really to potentially to the whole of New Zealand. And if you've got some massive fundraising goals, it will be really helpful. There is an email down here that will go to me down the bottom. I can help with your story if you need it, if you need some advice. I may even have time to pitch on your behalf. We'll see. And potentially, if not, I can give you the contact for, or at least give you some advice on where to go and find a journalist, or where to go find an editor or a producer. And good luck. That's hopefully you can use the media to fundraise.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, David. Really, really exciting. We've had I know that we've had a number of kind of mentions about Oxfam Trailwalker already in the media. We've had a few kind of shared with M2 and M2 Woman, the magazine. So yeah, really excited to see what other stories people want to bring and dominate the New Zealand media with Oxfam Trailwalker stories. So yeah, really, really excited. Well, thank you so much. I just want to do a quick sense check if Chris is in. Otherwise, we'll head on over. No, I don't think he's reached signal yet. So what I'll do is I'll now head over to Rachel Mazurier, our Executive Director at Oxfam Aotearoa, to give you a real quick snippet as to why fundraising through Oxfam Trailwalker and through the incredible challenge that you're taking on is so important, but not only for the charity, but the people that we aim to work with and support as well. So Rachel, over to you. And I think I've got a screen that I'm due to share for you. Is that right?
Please, and I'll do my best to try and stay on it. No, my honey, my everybody. It's fabulous to have all of you on this journey with us. And my job for the evening is really a little bit what David's just touched on around that elevator pitch. Is like why Oxfam Aotearoa, and it's an interesting time, isn't it, for all of us? Here we are. We've had COVID go through the world. We're in lockdown here in Tamaki Makaurau. Some of you will be, and some of you will be in level 2. And it has for many of us. I'm aware. I did Trailwalker myself in 2016. And there's a mixture of reasons for doing it. There was for me, one was a personal challenge. I wanted to do that 50K. It was in Whakatane then. It was really neat to get to a part of the country that I didn't know very well. And I know many of you will be looking forward to spending some time in Taranaki. But I'm also really conscious that for many of you, you know, the way the world is and how things are going to be in the near future, with climate change coming at us, with what we've seen seen COVID really expose around the world the extreme in inequalities with access to vaccines. And many of you will know that in many ways that supporting an organisation like Oxfam, the funds that you're raising are going to 3 particular areas of work that Oxfam does, wrapped up in challenging global inequalities. And the way I describe it is that your help is most definitely there at the bottom of the cliff. It's in our humanitarian emergencies. It's when a cyclone hits, whether it's Cyclone Gita, Cyclone Pam, Cyclone Winston, some of the ones that we've seen rip through the Pacific. Your assistance has helped us put some of the preparedness in place with local communities so that they're best able to respond when those emergencies hit. So that's that sort of action at the bottom of the cliff. But what I love about Oxfam and what means so much to me and all of our colleagues and many of our supporters is that we know that being at the bottom of the cliff is not enough. We know that in many ways, the systems, many systems around the world have driven many people to the edge of the cliff and tipped people over. So whether that's climate injustice, whether it's the types of economic inequalities that we've seen around the world, and for many women in parts of the world, the gender discrimination has meant that the systems that have put those in place are actually not at the bottom of the cliff, they're at the top, and in some cases are a couple of kilometres away from the cliff. That's where Oxfam also works. So you're supporting us work with communities who haven't yet had a cyclone hit, but are also conscious that the sea level is rising. And there's a great story here. I don't know if you can just move us, is it that slide, the next? Yes, there it is, Grace. This is a great story. It goes from an individual young woman in the Solomon Islands, who is very, very conscious of how her grandparents, great-grandparents are being able to make a living, plant a garden. But what she is seeing in her own experience in her young life is the way that the sea level is rising and destroying her village, her community's ability to be self-sufficient. The work that Oxfam does is both working with her and other women around economic viability, particularly with Savings Club, a great local community group around savings. But those women are also now, with Oxfam support, learning how to access some of the climate finance grants that are coming into the Solomons, going to regional or provincial decision making, which is mainly done by men, mainly done by village elders. And women are beginning to say, hey, we think we can be part of this solution. Can you help us get access to those grants? We can work at the community level, and this is what Grace is doing, to be able to adapt the village so that they can grow vegetables and actually look at ways in which they can respond and adapt to the way that climate change is changing their lives. So there's a brief little story that for me at the heart of it is hope. And what I feel very strongly is what you are all doing is helping us collectively have hope about being able to challenge both the injustices, things like climate change, provide ways in which people can find a sustainable way to live in the face of climate change and adapt and respond, and also making sure it's as inclusive as possible, particularly in rural communities where in many cases women and women with disabilities are some of those who are least supported, least likely to be able to look after themselves. So the last piece there is actually I wanted to share with you is the way in which your money that you're raising, we have got a government contract to help us work with Grace, her community, with this local partner on Women's Savings Club on climate change and accessing climate finance. It's going to cost about 3.6 million over 5 years. The government is putting in 2.8. We are needing 722,000 over those 5 years from the wonderful walkers on Trailwalker. What you raise is going to help us match the government contribution to ensure that we can, not just for a few months, but actually for over a 5-year period, work with this local communities in the Solomon Islands on climate change. And it, part of me feels so incredibly inspired by what you're doing, but also I'm equally inspired by what the women and the communities in the Solomon Islands are doing. And in a sense, that for me is what the beauty of Oxfam is. It's bringing your passion, your commitment, your energy, your willingness to do the sausage sizzles and the pub quizzes, as much as it is with those women and those communities who are also working to try to see what they can do, using their resources, using their skills, using their networks to respond to the climate change. So it does feel like we're joining each other up around the Pacific together. And I feel that we could not and would not be doing it. We were not going to be able to raise 722,000 without your help. So I'm really happy to take any questions now, any questions later. I do see that there's this wonderful elevator pitch that David's done for you, but that bigger understanding of what Oxfam does and why we do it. I'm really happy to provide more information, but I'm hoping that that's enough for now, because I'm aware you've been listening and taking on a lot. But I'm really, really chuffed with Trailwalker. As I said to someone earlier on today, it's the most inspiring part of the year for me. It recharges us all. Having been on the finish line, having done the emergency centre, every role I've been given, volunteered by Lizzie, I've loved. And I look forward to seeing all of you at the starting line, throughout the day, overnight, and at the finish line. Kia ora. Thanks, Lizzie.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. And sharing stories like Grace's story is, as Rachel says, a really great way to kind of promote the why behind why you're doing Oxfam Trailwalker. It's a great way to fundraise, and it just really comes back to helping your supporters understand just where the money's going to help those in kind of vulnerable communities. So just before we head over to the kind of question and answer portion of this evening, I just want to say a really quick shout out to our event sponsors. The event would be a very different experience without them. So just before I head over to questions, please do, after this, head to oxfamtrailwalker.org.nz/event partners or oxfamtrailwalker.org.nz/fundraising deals to check out their offers and how they can support both you and Oxfam Aotearoa. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and welcome you all back to the wonderful face gallery. And so before I do, I just want to hand over to Vanessa, who's our fundraising and marketing executive with part of the Oxfam Trailwalker team, just to kind of read out any questions that I'll be able to answer for you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Lizzie. Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. Just touching base on a couple of questions that have come through previously. One question that's come through is around the fundraising, Lizzie. If I'm worried that I might not quite reach my target, what do I do?
Well, give us a call straight away the moment that you're worried or you just want to have a chat. As I kind of mentioned earlier in the PowerPoint presentation, we've got a whole host of expert fundraisers in our Oxfam team, and they'll be giving everyone a call over the next few months just to be able to check in, just to be able to say, hey, how can we help you? And it's really being able to have those conversations. Or Victoria and Vanessa, who are also on this call as well as myself, are all at the other end of an email or a phone call to really support you. And whether or not you want for us to be part of a team Zoom session planning or come up with a few ideas or really just be able to help you, we can definitely make sure you've got that support to reach that $2,000 milestone as a team.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Lizzie. A question for David around the media kit. David, if we wanted to approach the media, you mentioned that you could help with pitching or help with support. How would we get in contact with you for that?
Yep, you can just send me an email is probably best. Just make sure, have a look at the media kit and it will give you sort of a checklist of things that I'll need. A brief description of your team, what you're trying to achieve, maybe the interesting angle that I spoke about, and some pictures would be great just for a start, and we can start a conversation. And that email address is it's just media@oxfam.org.nz.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's wonderful, David. A question for Jess. We had some feedback loving the examples and things like that you talked about for Bunnings. How did you get permission? You mentioned going through the people there for permission.
Yeah, so you have to book a slot. So they've got people called, I think they're called community managers or something. If you just go on the Bunnings website and look for the store that you're interested in, I think they've got a different community manager for each site, and they should have their contact details on the website. Get in touch with them. I remember sending, they sent me a 30-page sausage sizzle manual or something that I had a good chuckle about, with all the health and safety stuff. It's a bit overkill, but the process is actually really easy. Just get in touch with the community manager and they can book it in for you. You can't just rock up, because they do have different groups there every weekend, I think. But yeah, if you get in touch with them, like I said, it's quite good because they can let you know of last minute ones, which means you might make some more money out of it. Yeah, I hope that's answered your question.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jess. Lewis, you mentioned some great ideas. I love the particularly the clothes swap. You also suggested a movie night. Could you possibly talk about how that would work? Would that be sort of koha or selling tickets, or would that be, how would that sort of work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you need to think about how big you wanna get, how many people you wanna get involved. Naturally, that would influence in the space that you have. You know, if you're gonna do in your own house, or if you have maybe a local community space that you could use, like a club or something. So engage with those people beforehand, certainly. You could ask for a donation for the movie, just to for like as an entry kind of ticket. But the ones I participated before, people provided like a free popcorn kind of thing, and they would sell, you know, beers or juice and those kind of drinks and beverages on you know, naturally similar as you would pay in a bar or something, and that's a great way to raise some money in a quite a fun kind of fun way, I believe.
It's wonderful. Thank you. I've just got a question that's come through. Bernie asking, are we able to access the logo for social media posts and things like that? I would hazard a guess that we would need to have brand control over the logo. David, would you possibly be able to answer that, or Lizzie?
What we can do is we can definitely double check with the brand team. So if we are able to, we can put the different variations of our logo in various file formats on the website. So the same fundraising resources page that we've kind of pointed everyone to this evening already, or alternatively, we'll put a kind of a block on the website to say, if you do want our logo, give us an email and give the contact details there. So we'll hopefully have that ready and online by the end of the week for you, Bernie.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. Well, that's everything from the chat. Unless anyone wants to pop something else in while you're watching, if you've got a last minute question that you want to pop into the chat, please do so, and we can answer that for you now. Otherwise, is there anyone coming through?
No, we've got a few thank yous and some ideas, but no more questions at the moment. But if you do have any questions, obviously now is not the only time to ask them. We've obviously, as I mentioned, we've got our fundraising team giving you guys a call over the next few months. So feel free to ask questions with those guys, or as I said, drop us an email at info@oxfamtrailwalker.org.nz, or give us a call on 0800 600 700. And Vanessa, myself, or Victoria will absolutely be able to answer any questions you've got. And I think I mentioned it before, no question is a silly question. question. We've all asked the questions already, so feel free to get in touch with us. But yes, just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's taken part this evening. It's obviously been recorded, so we'll post it on our Facebook, on our website. And yeah, looking really forward to staying in touch and helping you where we can. Thank you everybody for joining us. Have a wonderful evening.